Hi there, my name is Kate. Welcome to Messages of Love 711. I have laid out the cards and I want to go through them as I have them laid out, which I'll kind of show you the spread. It's a bunch of different cards here, a bunch of different oracle and tarot that I used. But I thought it would save a lot of time if I could have it all laid out and just read it to you as we flow through the read. The first card I wanted to read is the message from the universe, and it says, don't be afraid to say I love you or thank you to those who deserve to hear it. Don't be scared of embarrassing yourself or appearing soppy. You will never regret a heartfelt I love you or a message of appreciation. You will only ever regret not saying it. I can vouch for that. Can't we all? Oh, can't we all? So in the spread that we have today, when I look at the overall energy of it, it seems to be kind of a long-term progression over the life of for whoever this resonates with, right? Some of these messages may resonate with you, or all of it may resonate with you, but it felt very much like I'm kind of taking a peek into somebody's life and, moving through some of the major phases and recognizing how far you've come. So with that said, I mean, it was a really great read, less about like love and romance, more about personal journey of growth. But I think that there is an aspect of love that comes in, it's weaved through here. So let me just get started with that said. Let me just get started. So we start out with the Four of Cups, which is about regret or missed opportunities. Sometimes it can be things left unsaid, opportunities that were presented or that we could have presented to someone else and we didn't. But it's like the regret of not doing something, or the regret of having done something, but in a way that maybe you wouldn't have done it with a little bit more knowledge or maturity, or whatever the variable may be, right? And with that, we have the card of prepare. So for me, this is like, I really felt like I was going back in someone's life. And this was the initial moment, like that key pivotal moment that because you went this way and not this way, you had a choice, right? You went this way, not this way. This was preparing you for your journey forward, right? This was something that maybe you would have always chosen the path in which you would have, learned what you've learned thus far. Who's to say? But on this journey, it appears this person took the path in which they would have to overcome some heartbreak and some karmic experiences, right? So when this all starts out, there's like this opportunity that is missed or not presented, and it's kind of okay in preparation for this person. And actually this egg is kind of showing the sun or the yolk, right? And it's kind of gets the feeling of like, okay, so it's been cracked and now we're going to start to run through it, go through it. We have the death card here. So the death could have been the death of an opportunity, the death of a or a transformation of something. But it was, for me, it was kind of like the death of one path and the selection of another path based on how I saw the rest of the read unfold. And through this path, there was like having to come to terms with and recognize your fears, whatever path you took in your soul contract, on the soul journey part of this. And when you were planning your incarnation, it was like the experience you wanted was either total transformation or to confront a fear that you would have that would help you grow in a very specific way in your life, on your journey, right? And through which you wanted to achieve peace. I'm sorry, that's not very noticeable. It's a dove, and the card says peace, right? And maybe having to do this through others in collaboration, right? With others on your journey. So this was kind of like an early stage, the way I look in this and feel it, an early stage of, so we're embarking on this journey in which we've closed off one path, opened up another. This path is going to take us on this path to address and acknowledge, recognize a fear we have that we want to overcome in this lifetime, right? Maybe a karmic path that we haven't resolved from the last, because that comes up as well with, we have the Devil card, we have the Immerse card, so getting immersed in an experience. And with that, we also have past life connection. So it was like, maybe like an unresolved past life karmic experience, in which this time around you had to get creative to come up with a solution to move through this, right? It was just a different type of solution for the same old problem. And you had to come up with a correction to this path, right? It was like correcting a karmic experience that needed to be corrected, right? To set right, to balance it, and to have the strength to pull it off, right? And I'm getting ahead of myself because this is the third phase. I'm already kind of going into the third phase. The second phase was after the missed opportunity part, recognizing that there was a fear in choosing that path, right? We had the Three of Swords card, which is heartbreak, right? Maybe the path you chose was the path of that other path would have been maybe easier at first, but maybe not. Maybe it always would have been the happy path, but would you have grown as much, right? Or maybe it wouldn't have always been as happy, but in that moment you would have thought it would be. So you chose the path that ultimately hurt. It was hurtful. Whatever you didn't pursue or didn't go towards, maybe it didn't hurt then, but maybe it hurts now when you think about it as the opportunity that you missed, right? And the card that we have associated with this is Record. So for me, this very, very, very much feels like in connection with the soul journey. It's just a recording of the experience through having chosen this versus that for this specific person or purpose, which actually that's a slip up, a Freudian slip. So maybe it was a person. Maybe you chose one person over another person. If this is your story, you'll know. But it could just as well be anything else, a situation, a life experience. So the card associated with this is growth, right? So your heart hurt over whatever this was, but ultimately in your kind of like the Akashic records, right? It's recording this experience for you, recording this soul journey that you've chosen. And you can come here to choose to have an easy life, I suppose, but why would you, right? You can have more beautiful, easier, different lives outside of here, but Earth is like where you come for the really dense experiences, the big growth opportunities. So you probably knew you were going to choose this path, and this was the harder or more painful path, but you come to experience it. You get to this point where you start to feel this heartbreak, but it's something that is part of your path because it leads to growth, right? When you have a Three of Swords experience, the next card is the Four, and tarot is the Four of Swords, which is the healing, the rest, the peace. So that you were dealing with in this situation of like self-limiting beliefs, maybe negative mindsets, creating roadblocks. But then, you start to do the work because at some point to achieve this growth, you realize you do need to heal. And you do need to move forward. You can't always stay stuck in this energy of heartbreak. You eventually have to grow from it or out of it, right? And this heartbreak may have been like a self-deception you may have felt when you look at it at the time, or when you look back at it now. It may have felt like self-deception, something that was done that you feel like, oh, had I only done it a different way, or had the opportunity been different, or had I chosen the other path. But it feels more like it could be that you were deceived. You ended up in a relationship, and by the next cards, because we have the Devil here, and past life connection could end up, and I think it was a karmic relationship, right? But in this karmic relationship, it could have also been, we have the enchant or deception and trickery. Like it could have turned out to where you chose the path that led to you kind of being not in comfort, but I feel more like out of your comfort zone. Or maybe I feel like it was in your comfort zone. You chose the path that might have been more comfortable, that you wouldn't have wanted to maybe face your fears at the time, and do the thing that was a little bit what you saw to be more challenging, or stretching your ego too much, or something like that. But you'll recognize the story if this is yours. But you may have ended up with a karmic situation in your life that could have been deceitful, and that would be where that heartbreak would come in. Or you could feel like you deceived yourself by choosing the path you chose that probably didn't go in a 3D way. It didn't end up being the success that you thought it might be, or you expected it to be, or wanted it to be. But in the end, we see here that you do end up with the Devil card, right? This can represent either addictions, obsessions, karmic relationships. And this is how I'm feeling this card in this read is there was two paths. You chose one, led to heartbreak with karmic attachment to it, right? This was something that you needed to come back to, but I think that you chose this path. Your soul knew you needed to right the wrong with karmic experience from another life or past experience, right? Because you get immersed in this experience, you lose yourself in it, in this karmic partnership and or situation, and with a past life connection, right? And it is part of the path where you need to choose to use your strength and to correct this course you've taken, right? You're starting to correct and transmute from the growth of this relationship. There's been a lot of growth, and I don't know if I didn't show it before, but there was a lot of growth in this. I keep saying just assuming relationship. It doesn't have to be romantic, but it can be a relationship. It can be family. It could be platonic. It can be romantic. It can be any kind. It could be a life experience. But I do kind of see this as, it's easy to look at it as a romantic partnership, right? But it could be otherwise. So through this growth and healing, ultimately transmuting this, and this feels very recent, right? This third path feels very recent, and like it's something that is now being righted, right? You've chosen your path, you've walked the walk, and now you're righting the wrong, right? So that's correction and strength. And the cards that come up on the bottom of the decks, or things you don't see, are resolving issues with boundaries, right? And coming out of denial, right? There's that issue, resolving issues. Then you have, I love this, receiving, soul receiving, and divinity, right? You're doing the work of many lives, right? Of your soul, and healing, taking action to heal. I have this backwards. To heal, right? You're finally correcting a karmic relationship, a karmic experience in this lifetime, and you're about to receive for it. And I feel like it's a reward for good work, right? You've come through something. And this is the card of consciousness. You become maybe, and probably because of this, spiritually enlightened, right? If you're watching this channel with oracle and tarot cards, I can imagine. And possibly even coming into resolving the missed opportunity, because the reason that comes up for me is that when you initially had a choice, this path or this path, you chose path B, and you're kind of looking back at path A, like, what could that be? Because could it be that by going back to that path, you ultimately receive your divinity, your reward, the star card? Because we also have here communication with confidence, and then rediscovery. Are you going back to that? And after having course corrected this karmic path, this was what you needed to do in this lifetime. So 2 of the cards we have from a beautiful deck. I don't recall the name of the deck. This is the back of the card. Some of you might recognize it. Sacred boundaries. Now knowing your boundaries, now setting, may have become very important during your karmic episode, your karmic experience that you have, maybe a relationship, and it says you are what you think, so use your thoughts wisely, right? I certainly hope that this was helpful for you, and or some of this. You know, it didn't have to be the whole read, but if any of the little nuggets of information that came out of here was useful for you, then I'm ecstatic. So we have here the Aries charm. It says courageous. We have here the Aquarius charm, which says friendly. We have the Z and the R. So if these mean Z and R, right? We actually have a fairy in the moon. It's a beautiful moon card, or moon image. Like they're laughing and dancing together. It feels magical, right? Something coming back around feeling quite magical. A bicycle could mean transportation, slow transportation. Could mean athleticism. Could mean you enjoy riding bikes. Maybe that's something that you remember doing together or can imagine doing together. Capricorn, ambitious. Thanks for checking in.